Professor Reddy played a pivotal role in developing industry, relevant curricula and forecasting curricula of excellence. The moderation with education that session provides a deep insights for the meaningful engagement of all participants. Now, I would like to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Madhavi Lokhande. Is the director at Wellington Institute of Management Development and Research, Bengaluru. He works with the women micro entrepreneurs, helped her get PhD from SDNT Women's University, and also led her to be a mentor for the ISB Goldman Sachs 10K program. Dr. Madhavi ma'am is a fellow of the Coast Accountants of India and the Institute of Management Accountants US. She also holds the position at national level vice president, Homopreneurs Council Women's India, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the president Institute of Management Accountants Bengaluru chapter. Her recent accomplishments, which includes for the prestigious fellowship from the Executive Leadership Academy from UK Berkeley. As a researcher, she has published several papers and case studies in leading journals and international and national case clearing houses. She was awarded by the Higher Education from Excellence in Contribution in Management Education. Dr. Madhavi founded Monday, a charitable trust that promotes the cause of inclusive education. She was awarded the Exemplary Educator Award by the Institute of Management Accountants US this June 2023. She also won the recognition of outstanding services from IMA for member of the Indian Regional Advisory Committee. First of all, thank you very much, ma'am, for this person. Over to you, ma'am, regarding this session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks to AIMS for inviting me to handle this session on AI in management education, shaping tomorrow's leaders. So let me start this session by making a big claim. This PPT is not AI generated. This PPT has been made by a human, an individual, that is me, because now you have access to information that is readily available using artificial intelligence. And I think everywhere around us, we see so many instances and we see so many touch points, which perhaps are AI enabled. So here's to this topic on AI in management education, shaping tomorrow's leaders. Now, first of all, why is this topic important and why are we discussing this, right? So somewhere when this topic was shared, I said, let me think through this in a very logical manner. So my PPT also moves with the flow that, one, that there is AI and we are living in a world that is AI enabled. Second, we all are in some manner imparting management education to students. So why is it important that we know a little bit more about AI, which is over and above understanding the different jargons, because we keep hearing AI, we keep hearing machine learning, we keep hearing deep learning, we hear words like neural networks, we hear ChatGPT, right? So we hear all these words. So what does it mean for an educator like you and me? That's one. Next, I would say one of the biggest outcome in management institutions is, are we able to provide employability to our students, which means either they get a job or are they able to start their own business? Then in that case, what should we do? What should we do basically with regards to imparting AI and how can it become a part of curriculum? What is the industry's perspective on all this? And of course, what are some of the challenges we might face? So also let me make it clear what I will be not doing in this session. I will not be explaining the various tools because 40 to 45 minutes is too short a time to be able to do that. But however, if you feel you're interested in knowing more about these tools, you could look at it as another session. So I will basically talk about this entire background and premise. I will also talk about in a very simple language and in a nutshell what AI is. And I'll also talk about the different tools which are available today at an institute level, at a faculty level, and also for the students. What is it for a teacher? What is it for a researcher? So this is how I have planned my today's presentation. If there are questions, I would request you to put it in the chat box as I'm talking. Specifically, if there's any question with regards to any of the slides which you have, you could put it in the chat box and let me take it towards the end of the session. I'll try and answer as many questions as possible, right? Just give me 1 second. Okay. So let's start with this wonderful quote, which really talks about how the playing field is now poised to be more competitive, and that businesses which don't innovate, and we've seen what happened to Nokia, which refused to innovate. Very soon it was taken over by other brands like Samsung, but of course that's a different topic altogether. That's specifically with regards to technology. But then innovation being a key word, what happens to companies if they don't innovate? Obviously they'll be at a disadvantage. A similar thing is applicable to us as educators. If we don't learn more, if we don't adapt, if we don't understand these topics and are unwilling to recognize them, then obviously we stand to disadvantage, right? Let us look at what has happened in this world of revolutions, okay? While I've not put it here, if you go back to the Stone Age, we started with fire as a major revolution. Then came the wheel. Then came other things slowly, which is we moved to agriculture, we moved to an industrial era. When the industrial era started, we spoke about power, we spoke about printing press, then there was a steam engine, there were motor cars, someone invented the bulb, the telephone. Even in the area of science, which is biological sciences, we moved from developing basic antiseptic to vaccinations to antimicrobials, and we are talking about vaccines at a very higher level. So you see that all these are revolutions that we have read about or seen in our lifetime. But then, these revolutions have also been slow revolutions, which means if we start with fire from Stone Age or the Mesolithic period, these have come at a much slower pace. But look at this revolution. The time taken to reach 100 million users and how it is reducing. So if you take Google Translator to, let's say, Telegram, or let's say Instagram, this is how many months they took to reach to 100 million users globally. Just look at ChatGPT. It's taken just 2 months to reach 100 million users. So I think this slide itself speaks about how fast or how quick people are catching up or want to catch up. And ChatGPT, being a subset of artificial intelligence, just imagine the way people are adapting to it, how fast and how quickly people want to adapt to it, right? So this actually is an eye opener for all of us. And if we look at the time taken for us to move from industrial revolution, the first revolution, to second, to third, fourth, it's taken 10 years, it's taken decades, and more than a decade in some cases. But for something like the ChatGPT, it's taken less than 2 months, just about 2 months. Govardhan Reddy, sir, can I ask you to put your mic on mute, please? Thank you. So this is how, the fast-paced acceptance or the presence of artificial intelligence around us is very quick, right? So what is the mindset of people, right? How are people looking at it? Which means, I'll give you one small example. So in 1996, IBM had this Deep Blue computer, which was made to play, and I'm sure some of you have read the story, which was made to play against the reigning chess champion, Garry Kasparov, right? So Deep Blue, the computer could come up with 200 million moves for every move made by Garry Kasparov, right? As against the Blue Mind AI today, the Blue Mind AI of Google, it is able to not just come up with fast moves for the opponent, but it is able to read the mind of the chess player opposite and keep improving, right? So was Deep Blue in 1996, was it an AI? It is argued that it was like a monster which could come up with 200 moves, 200 million moves, but it was not able to read the mind of the opposing chess player. It was a brute force of speed. Whereas when it came to Blue Mind, and this is a very good case study, even if you pick up any of the nice courses on AI, or if you just Google Deep Blue versus Blue Mind, you can read about it. So how Blue Mind is now able to read the mind of the opposing player and come up with iterations and come up with moves, right? So this is how uh, things are moving. Now, what does it mean to people like you and me? See, some people are still in denial, and the denial could be, why should I know about AI? I'm not interested, or AI can't do the job which I am doing, or I don't have the time to know about AI. So some of us are still living in a denial mode. Whereas the positive mindset would be to say, okay, fine, if I am able to use AI in the right manner, then, we'll be very productive. We can make processes efficient and work towards better solutions. I have not put the third category just because I felt it was a little pessimistic. But there are also some people who are in a panic mode, who say, what? Oh, AI is going to take away all our jobs. Now with AI around, I don't know what I will do. None of us might have jobs in the next 10, 15 years. So that's a panic mode. But if you see all the revolutions that we have been through, people did not go out of jobs. People understood how to adapt. And the same is going to happen with AI. So AI is not going to put people out of jobs. But perhaps those who know better about AI, they might put you out of job because you're still not aware or you have not upgraded yourself. So the bottom line here is that while AI is there and it is doing its job, and it is in different areas of businesses also, how you and I are going to upgrade ourselves, and then work towards, or perhaps function in a world which is AI enabled. Is this new to us? Just think a little bit about it. Uh, Google Translator, we all have used. It's there since 2006, 2011. Then came in Alexa. All those who have got iPhones are probably also using Siri. There is Google Assistant. So none of this, is new. We are already living and surviving in a world where there is artificial intelligence around us. Only perhaps we have not realized that this is what people are talking about, and this is what we will have to teach to the next generation leaders, because we are the ones who are shaping tomorrow's leaders. We will also have to look at how are we going to incorporate all this in the style of teaching, in the kind of courses we teach, in how we are going to use tools. You know what? I think COVID actually taught all of us to use a whole lot of tech tools, which perhaps we were till then not really bothered about. But suddenly we adapted. We started using MS Teams, we started using Zoom, we started using WebEx, to an extent that this session now is happening on Zoom. Maybe 5 years 5 years earlier, we would not have thought that AIMS could have this session and so many people could join it online to hear a speaker speak. We were so much in a physical world where we would want to meet, physically attend conferences, listen to speakers. But then with the pandemic, a whole lot of things have changed, and we've come to realize that this technology around us, okay, this intelligence around us is there, and we are somehow surviving in that world without realizing that we are there. Because by default, I would say every person, if not every alternate person, has used Google Translator, has used Google Assistant. When you open your phone nowadays in WhatsApp, you get the Meta, which is your AI in your phone in WhatsApp, which prompts you to ask a question, and you're able to put your question over there and get an answer, right? So these are the things which are already around us. But now, for us to study it as a science, for us to study it as a topic and say, how will it improve my life? As an educator also, I think that's what my focus is about. So you know what? There was this quote which I read, okay, which said computers are good at following instructions, not reading your mind. This quote was given by Donald Knuth, okay. But see what has happened in 15 years, 20 years after the quote. 15 years, 20 years after the quote, we are now talking about artificial intelligence, and we say that artificial intelligence is a technology that enables computers and machines to simulate, which means somebody can actually do what I'm doing. Human learning, comprehension, problem solving, decision making, creativity, and autonomy. So after this quote on computers and computers just be good at executing instructions, to now computers have got smarter to take their own decisions. They have become creative because they can come up with creative things. Uh, they are able to help us in creating nice learning modules. They're also able to solve problems, right? So we are living in this world which is like artificial AI enabled artificial intelligence. And we see that the subsets are the machine learning and there is a subset of deep learning, right? Now, why are these subsets? Because the bigger umbrella is that of artificial intelligence. And then under that, we are talking about how is it that the machine is able to iterate and learn better. And one more subset we are saying of machine learning is that there's a multi-layered neural network. What is this neural network, right? I'm presuming that we all are educators from different parts of the country, and perhaps we are at different levels. So I'm going to take the liberty of explaining what this neural network is in the slides to come. Some of you who are already aware of it, please bear with me. But I've tried to make it a little bit interesting and not theory based, and not talk only about the definition part of it, right? Before I get to explaining and talking about how it works and what is neural network, if you see the investment, AI investment in education, you will see that we are now looking to increase the investment, which is the global AI software spending in the education market, is forecast to be increased to 7.7 billion. Okay. And spending is expected to see a 5-year growth rate of 18.5%. And we're talking of 13.2 billion by 2027. This is what Gartner says. Now, this is just the investment in the education, right? In the education sector, where we are talking of different aspects. We're talking of different types of AI. We're talking about optimization. We are talking of NLP. We are talking of RPA. We're talking of knowledge-based system. And we're also talking of computer vision. And in computer vision, we're talking about image restoration, recognition. In machine learning, we have deep learning. So this is an endless study because it has got billion parameters. This is not as if we're just talking about 10 things, 20 things, and 100 things. We are talking about a science, and we are talking about this entire thing which can have up to billion parameters. Now, as educators, are we required to know everything? It's impossible. But are we able to understand and use a few of these? Yes, that's a possibility. Are we able to inculcate few of these in our syllabus and curriculum so that students study? That's a possibility. Are we able to pick and choose and say, you know what, at a first level, this is what we will probably be using as educators? That's a possibility. So while there are so many parameters and so many branches to this entire science of artificial intelligence, we can really start small. So let's first understand why why AI is first of all needed in management education. I'm sure, like I already said, you all will agree that, like, unlike other educational programs which move from campus to campus, which means after 12th he moves to graduation, after graduation he moves to post-graduation. If we are in management education in a master's level, our program is from campus to corporate. So what are businesses looking at? The upcoming sectors, be it healthcare or the finance or e-commerce, they are increasingly adapting AI technologies. So obviously, they're looking for talent which will understand AI better, right? So they are saying that, you know what, we want to look at technical, non-technical talent, and we could possibly be looking at, uh, a growth in the number of people who will get employed, who are aware of AI or who know how to use different applications of AI. Also, in the next 5 years, 41% of the executives are anticipating that there's going to be a complete overhaul of business processes. And some of them could be, building them from scratch with AI at the core. We could also see a lot of startup businesses, and we're already seeing that. I'm sure me in Bangalore and those who are in Hyderabad, when you say that this is like the Silicon Valley, we are seeing a lot more youngsters working with apps and with apps which are AI enabled. So obviously, at a business level, which creates the need for us to create that pipeline of leaders. And that's why this session is titled Shaping Tomorrow's Leaders, because that's what we are going to be looking at. I'm sure most of you have heard this AIED, which is AI in education, right? So what are some of the effects of it? So I've just listed down basically, and I'll try to touch base upon few of these. So for example, if there is AI can tailor educational content to meet individual student needs. So a student who is a slow learner will get content which is pushed to him in a very different manner as compared to somebody who's really, really smart. Again, there could be an intelligent tutoring system which will provide real-time feedback and support, and students understand complex concepts. The administrative tasks could be, kind of automated. So be it scheduling or be it admission. So basically, this will free up time for the educators. There's also predictive analytics, which can predict student success and identify those at risk of falling behind. So essentially, what this says is that if we start applying this in education, apart from the fact that we will put curriculum which is now much more contemporary, AI can actually help educators like you and me, right from the way we are going to design our lessons to how do we follow the students. Are we able to do some analytics on student performance? Can we take some informed decisions? Can we automate some of the administrative tasks? And we can also predict student success and understand those who are the slow learners. Now, what are some of the things which we could incorporate into the curriculum? Definitely, we can integrate AI courses, look at some fundamental courses on AI, ML, data analytics. We can look at an interdisciplinary approach also, where we say AI with finance or marketing or operations and show practical applications. We could encourage students to take on hands-on projects. Again, in terms of modules on ethical implication of AI, privacy, because data privacy is a huge thing in this, and ethical issues in AI also are going to come up. And also that there could be continuous, and NEP also talks about lifelong learning. So we can continue to offer workshops, seminars, online courses, and keep the faculty updated on the AI trends and technologies, right? So what are some of the competencies, okay, which will be required? And students who have to join an AI-enabled world, definitely technical skills, if they're able to use AI tools and frameworks. Analytical thinking would be one of the competency. They should be able to solve problems. Adaptability, that is willing to continuously learn and adapt to new AI technologies and methodologies. And also be ethically aware of the considerations and biases in AI system, and should ensure fair and responsible use, right? These would be some of the competencies. And the key challenges could definitely be the data privacy. There could be ethical concerns. Then, of course, for us to be able to provide all this, there's huge cost of having the right kind of infrastructure. All the teachers are required to be trained. uh, it's likely that students and faculty across different institutions and across different areas in India might not have access. And it sometimes could be that some people have access to technology and internet connectivity, some might not have. That's definitely going to be one of the challenges. Then what is the quality of the data? And of course, that sometimes we all are resistant to change. Remember my slide when I said there's a denial. Some of us are in a denial mode, saying, why do I need to know about AI? I don't need to learn this. I'm just going to, give up and retire or stop my active career after 5 years, 10 years. AI is not going to make big change in my life. I am fine for the next 10 years not being able to use this, or not being aware of it, or not being able to teach it. So these could be some of the challenges for implementing AI in education. Now, let me basically, since I've used the words AI, machine learning, let me basically talk about what is it, and what is it that we are generally trying to talk about. I'm sure all of you are aware, and I'll keep this this slide and the next slide very, very simple, because like I said, I think we all come from different backgrounds and we all come from different places. So it's important that we know a little bit more about this in very simplistic terms. So AI, as you know, is artificial intelligence, right? And artificial intelligence we have seen around us in several manners. For example, when you go to Google and you've already watched some YouTube videos, based on what you've watched, it'll keep prompting you and sending you suggestions about saying you have seen this, so now you might like to see this. It happens even when you're watching Netflix or Amazon Prime, right? You have seen this, so now, based on what you have watched, you might like these. That's a simple example of artificial intelligence. Imagine when you're swiping your credit card. The credit card transaction gets approved and it says your transaction is approved, you have spent so much. And if you have a limit on your card of 50,000, if you have already spent so much, it will say the limit now is so much. So these are smart things which keep coming to you, and nobody's sitting and sending you this message. Obviously, you know that it's all been enabled. So these are simple examples of artificial intelligence around us. And that itself comprises of, like I said, machine learning, and we spoke about subsets. I said there's machine learning, there's deep learning, there's computer vision, and etc. So that being the overall umbrella, under that we are talking about generative AI. So when I say generative AI, what does that mean? It means it's not that somebody is just keying in and it is giving me a response, but with every question asked and with every response, it gets better, it gets iterative. So it becomes generative. So for example, you ask a question and let's say the system has not understood. It counter question saying, you know what, I've not understood it. Try telling that to Alexa in some language. Alexa will say, sorry, I have not understood that. Right? Or you say, Alexa, play this song. Then it plays this song. And then maybe the next it asks you, would you like to hear this song also? So at some point in time, we might come across systems, or we might come across some apps which are very, very smart, right? And those apps don't just simply take instructions, but they also try to keep responding and they try to keep generating further information. Now, where does this information come from? We will talk about it in the next slide. And how does this information get converted and how do we get responses? This is something which I want to talk. So I'm going to go to the next slide and then come back to this slide. But one more subset under that is that there's a large language model, right? And what does this language model comprise of? And what does this language model do? So imagine if, like, if there's a brain and the brain gets a lot of inputs from outside, and at the same time, the brain does some processing and it is able to give an output. So neural networks typically functions like a brain, but the input is always in the form of numbers. So if I had to give a command, okay, that command could be in text, it could be an image, it could be an audio, or it could be in video, right? Text is what? Text is when I key into the chat GPT and I say, will it rain tomorrow? Or I ask, what is meant by artificial intelligence? So the neural network is able to convert it into a code or a number, and it gives the output again in a text, image, audio, or video, right? So what happens is your input is going in text and the output is coming in text. That is if it is text-based. But it can also happen that it can be multimodal, right? So you hear large language models. You also hear that there are multimodals. So multimodals is I'm giving an instruction in text and it is able to convert to speech. I'm giving an instruction in speech, it can convert in text. Remember, in our phones, there are ways where you can actually speak into it and it will convert it into a text. Moving on, you give it a text, it can convert it into a video, right? So this becomes a very iterative process. And that's exactly what it is doing in the sense of processing information and giving you an output. Now, who has given this information? So imagine, there is this information which it is able to derive from the internet, which is called as unsupervised generative pre-training, which means it is actually getting trained and it is absorbing all the inputs, and it is able to pick information from the internet and give you the output. So you see, on the extreme left of that neural network, I have said your input can be in text, images, audio, video, and the output at the same time could come to you in text, images, audio, and video. And it is constantly improving, right? So there is this phenomena which is called as back propagation. This is part of its training. Who is giving its training? Humans are giving the training, which means now I have got billion parameters. So every time a question is asked, I look for information which is there available, and I give you an answer, right? Now, if that answer is not correct, then somebody, is telling me, which is the human itself is telling, you know what, this is not correct. So because of the input it keeps getting, there's a back propagation. So what is happening to this neural network? There is a reinforced learning with human feedback. So there are people who are working on these different models, and there is continuous human feedback which is going to improvise these models. So now if you type, okay, saying dogs are, and leave it. That's the input to the neural network. It is able to come up with animals as an answer. But supposing the next question you put is dogs are animals that can or that are, the neural network starts thinking. And maybe it will come up with an answer saying can be adopted as pets. The different kinds of pets are, it will start thinking. It will come up with cat, it will come up with dog, it will come up with birds. So where is it getting all this input from? The input is coming from the different, like I said, web sources, which is a lot of text from the internet. And also that there are people who are contributing to this knowledge. And there's a back propagation which is happening, which is it keeps going back and it tries to improvise and iterate with each kind of the command which it gets, right? So I'll go back to the previous slide. So that's why it is called generative AI, because it is continuously on a generative mode. So if you see, G stands for generative, P that it is pre-trained, and T stands for that it is ready to transform that information, right? All of us, you and I, we all have heard about ChatGPT, and we know that students are excessively using ChatGPT for their assignments or for their work. Now, OpenAI is the company which has been working on this entire app and model. And in 2023, they declared that ChatGPT 4 is so intelligent that it can probably beat 90% of the people who sit for their test. Like how we have CAT, there is SAT over there, that it can beat 90% of the people who appear for the SAT exams. Now, what does this all mean, folks? It means that, first of all, we should be able to ask the system the right kind of questions, right? So the questions itself, that science itself is called as prompt engineering skills. And that is very important. Remember, I was showing the slide where I said this entire neural network is constantly under training. It is getting trained, right? So for that training to happen and that back propagation to happen properly, we all should have prompt engineering skills. So let me give you an example. Try asking ChatGPT, how do I rob a bank? Now, the ethical issue, because there's been a human intervention which has told that robbing a bank is wrong, it will probably say, I cannot assist you with it. Okay? You try asking, show me images of a kite flying in the sky. It will promptly give you. You can ask something like, give it some random words and say, can you make a poem out of this? Can it be converted to a poetry? It will try its best and give you a poetry out of it. Now, you may like it, you might not like it. But the fact is that it is able to process it and give you that. But then let me also give you an example of a very bad command. Okay. So now I ask the chat GPT to say, give me a training program. Now, obviously, the output will be, it will give me a very broad, random training program with some elements which might not be suitable to me. But supposing I say, yesterday I attended a meeting with this company in Bangalore. It's called Wipro. I met the managers. They're looking for a leadership program. And the problem statement they said was that people are not getting trained on communication skills. So can you design a training program? So automatically the output which you get will be much more refined, and it will meet the objective based on the prompt which you have given or the command which you have given. Now, how has it reached this stage? It has reached the stage because, like I said, that neural network itself is, back propagating, in the sense it is constantly undergoing a training with the human effects. So the minute you are very specific and you say that I am looking for a training program for mid-level managers in the area of conflict management, then it will give you a very specific training program, which is a good prompt, as compared to give me a training program of 3 days. Then the training program could be anything, which is an example of a bad prompt. So this entire artificial intelligence and the large language models which exist around us are telling us to first adapt and learn prompt engineering skills in terms of being able to give the right prompts. Folks, in a way, if you look at it, it's also good communication skills, because asking somebody, give me a training program, is really not effective communication. But asking somebody, can you design a course around negotiations? Can you design a course around, let's say, HR analytics? These are very specific. So it also helps to improve our own communication skills and our own skills in terms of conveying the right message either to people or to a system, right? So, in a nutshell, this is exactly how AI is working and how the neural networks are working. So, if you see, there are models everywhere around us. At an enterprise level, at an institute level, there is IBM Watson Studio, there is Google Cloud AI platform, there is MS Azure, there is Great Scope. At an individual levels, there could be different kind of tools. And they could differ in terms of the speed at which they work, the capability at which they work. The cost could be low for some. Where the cost is low, those could be easily downloadable, or they could be free, or they could be available only for a limited time. For example, ChatGPT works only for a limited time. After that, it will stay. After that, it is bound to say that, you can go up to only 5 questions or 10 questions, right? Ease of working could be different. It could be specialized, different things for different aspects, which I'll come to. What is it in it for educators? And there could be integrated solutions also. So this is how exactly it works. This section, mindful of the time, I'm going to run through very quickly, saying what are the AI tools available, but I can surely share these slides with aims to share with you. So what are some of the best AI tools for teachers? So there are different functions which a teacher has to perform, right from engaging student, helping with administration, personal assistance for quiz. There could be assist with lesson planning. So you see the multiple AI tools available for teachers, okay? Right from ChatGPT, where each one of us has used that in some manner, even Copilot we have used. So there are different things available for different tasks, right? There's also Canva, which I think many of us use for presentation and for handouts. There's beautiful AI. Some of them are based on designer kind of output, which we may require. There's a PowerPoint speaker coach. Most importantly, in all the various apps of Microsoft, we now see that they are all AI enabled, right? There is Quillbot, which is a paraphrasing tool. So these are some good AI tools which are available for teachers. There's teacher.ai, there's Kahoot, there is Flipboard, there is Teach Easy. Like I said, each of them has got its own application. Remember when I said there are models, there are some which are specialized, some which are easy to use, some cost is very less, some are available freely, easy to download as well. So these are some of the best AI tools for teachers, and I really would encourage you to, use some or all of them if you have not already been doing it. So in a snapshot, if you see, there are tools which are text-based, video-based, image-based, code-based, some of them speech-based. So there is this entire landscape, which is the generative AI, which is available around us, right? Now, like I was telling you, at a classroom level, which I think most of us have used during COVID. We all have used, Google Classrooms by sending out the Google Meet links to students. We have used Microsoft Teams. Similarly, there's Blackboard, which I know a lot of colleges are using. So these are some of the AI-powered online classroom tools which are available. Now, what is there for researchers specifically? So, right from data analysis to literature review, or the chat PDF, which specializes in making PDF files more accessible and understandable, because researchers have to deal with complex data. There's Research Rabbit, there's Scholarly, there's Semantic Scholar, and there's Summary, which summarizes PDF or text documents by uploading a file. So for researchers, because we as educators wear multiple hats, we are good teachers, we're supposed to be good administrators and also researchers. Then there are very good generative AI tools for data analysis. Some of you who are, providing courses on data analysis would already be using like a Tableau or a Click or a Mode Analytics or a Monkey Learn, right? So these are some of the best generative AI tools for data analysis. So this is how I would probably summarize it, because we as teachers, I feel, have to be much more productive. We should constantly be on a learning mode. So be it research, or if you're looking for image based AI apps, or for AI apps for copywriting, videos, meetings, presentations, I think we have a wide range which we can choose from. Like mentioned earlier, some of them could be available, as free downloads. Some of them would be available at a cost. In terms of only after you use, you will know how much it meets your requirement. So they all are differently placed in terms of ease of use, in terms of being integrated solution, in terms of the cost, in terms of the speed. And I think it is just common sense to know that those which are free and easy to download, they will have limited use, or they will have limited, kind of limited to a certain time, or limited to certain number of entries you could put in it, or certain number of times you could ask it to answer your questions. So these are some of the various tools which we could adapt and use. And one thing which I can definitely tell you is that many of the people, at least in education, they all are on the learning curve. So it's not that as if anybody is an expert in this. But yes, the more we use it, the more we get to know about it. The more we use it, the more we'll be able to talk about it. And we will be able to also make the students use, because I'm not sure how many of these students are aware of, right? So we could also encourage the students to use these so that they become more employable and they become more industry ready, right? So the future of AI in management, definitely I see that a lot of administrative tasks like grading can become easier, admissions can become easier, the data analytics of student performances. So there's a lot of automation of administration tasks which can happen. There could also be a faster analysis of the data generated through meetings and presentations. Of course, it will increase our speed of communication. It will help in decision making. But there is one more very ethical angle to it. And of course, we have evolved out of that thing. It is also considered to be a little biased. So, for example, if you give a command saying, show me a picture of members of parliament, then perhaps it will show all men and just one woman. So there's a gender bias over there, right? This was the problem which has been overcome, and there was this entire study around HHH, which is a framework where they said AI should be honest, it should be harmless, and it should be helpful, right? So there are a lot of biases, but there are also people who are working on these. Another example would be that, if you ask, give me a picture of all intelligent men, usually it shows all white men, right? So these are some biases which were there in the AI systems, but people, like I said, they're continuously working on it, and the better versions are coming. So the various models which are now available, right? Uh, so there is a lot of innovation which is happening in that area. The other aspect is the ESG and the sustainability aspect, because where a lot of this work is happening, and this entire data centers, they get very heated, so there is an excessive consumption of water which is happening to keep these data centers cool, right? Which will create rather a very big issue in terms of sustainability. And like how we are teaching AI, we are also teaching sustainability, so that is going to be another area which is going to be of concern when we speak about future of AI. So that's my presentation, folks, today. Thank you so much. I hope you've been able to find some portions, at least of it, useful. But if there are any questions, I would definitely take them.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Dear participants, please post your questions in chat box. Dear participants, please post your questions. Ma'am, resource person is available. Ma'am will take questions.
So Roshni, I
Ma'am,
see your
one question.
question. Yeah, I
Yes, ma'am.
see your question, which says what amount of AI knowledge is required for a management student. So there's no limit, because nobody has decided, because and students also have different career aspirations. So it will entirely depend upon how much the student wants to learn. Basically, at a domain level, which is for manufacturing, finance, or operations, or HR. And I hope, Dr. KP, that answers your question also in some manner. Uh, there are many of them which are domain specific, and if you see the different um, domains will have use of certain AI based tools. For example, something which could be working around logistics and supply chain, or something in finance which could be around financial modeling, or which could be on making a prediction. Because one of the key things, or one of the important function which AI can do, is also to make predictions. So based on that, they could use the tools. Again, these tools, for example, some are very, very general, which is those which help us make good presentations, right? It could be specialization or domain agnostic, right? Or those which can help to make, an analytics or the prediction about the, let's say, prices of stock, or let's say, looking at what the past performance of a company has been. These are predictive models, which is a part of AI. So there's no specific one thing which a student can learn. Based on the area of interest, they could pick up, and there's so much. So, for example, I could be going to Yahoo Finance to use some analytics. So that's something which I find useful, right? So for a management student, it depends entirely on his interest, what he wants to learn. But let me tell you, there are many of these apps which are no code, which means one need not know a code. These are all graphic user interface kind of things, where you could, even post images or post your speech, and you're able to get responses. So I don't think it has got anything to do with specializations or specific areas. It has got more to do with applications. What are you going to apply it for? So Roshni has another question saying, do organizations make use of AI to the extent? Absolutely. I mean, this is an AI-driven world. And like I said, in our phones, we see so many applications. Probably we have not attributed and realized that this is AI at work. But then, simple example in finance, when I swipe my credit card or debit card, how is it that I get a prompt which says you have used so much and your balance is so much, right? Or if I'm seeing some, let's say, videos on supply chain on YouTube, and immediately it comes up with a prompt which says, you watched this, so why don't you watch this, something else? right? Or now in Microsoft PowerPoint, you're able to ask AI to help you make better presentations. That could be on any topic. So AI is being used across industries, be it any of the sectors, be it healthcare, be it manufacturing, IT, of course. So there's no limitation on any of these.
Ma'am, we have one more question. AI tools for research or publications, and what about
Yes,
plagiarism?
yes, I've already, right from Grammarly to Scholarly to Turnitin, they all have now become AI enabled. And definitely these are tools which researchers can use. But probably what I could do for you, in case you are interested in noting those, I'll keep that slide on, because those are some of the tools which are being used by researchers. Uh, I'll keep Yes, I'll keep these slides on while we continue to take questions. So there are a lot of tools, Julius, there's Chat PDF, there's Research Rabbit. Again, it depends entirely on what you want to do. For example, Quillbot will help you to paraphrase, right? Whereas Turnitin, which is now AI enabled, will help you for the plagiarism. Uh, Chat PDF will help you to make specialized PDF files more accessible. So there are different aspects and research also, even for the analytics, which is there as part of research. You can use any of the um, tools which are available for researchers.
Yeah, ma'am, we have one more question. India
Yes.
having more student population.
Yeah, there's
How?
one question of Mr. Tirupati also saying, do we require to learn coding part of AI to get? No, no, that's why I said there are many of the tools which are no code, which don't need you to use code. Of course, there are some code-based apps also, but there are several which are no code or no programming. Those definitely are available. Yeah, India is having more student population. How will AI will be helpful for their employment? Obviously, it makes you relevant, right? If you are able to use the AI tools, then obviously you have upgraded yourself or upskilled yourself, and definitely it will help you to get jobs. Like I said, we are in three different modes. Denial mode is I don't want to know about AI. Positive mode is it will make all of us more productive, and the panic mode is AI is going to you know make us jobless. AI will not make you jobless. If you don't know about AI but somebody else knows about it, he will have a job, and maybe you might not be able to compete with him. We spoke right from Y2K, if you remember. I'm sure all of you have seen that era. We said people will be out of jobs, computers are going to dysfunction after year 2000 because computers have not been programmed that way. We spoke similarly when analytics came into the picture. But we also see that jobs are also getting smarter and people have got options to do several more things. In fact, it is definitely creating a lot more opportunities for, startups also. So despite our population, in fact, AI will be definitely helpful. And I'm sure most of the programmers outside all the IT companies, the CEOs and their CTOs are mostly Indians. So in terms of knowledge, I think we are very, very analytical, let's say, as a race or as a particular nationality. So definitely, I think it will help to improve job opportunities.
Yeah, dear participants, you have any more questions? Please post in chat box. I hope everyone clear about this session now. Thank you very much, dear participants. Please send any questions and more questions. Yeah, dear participants, you have any more questions? Please post in chat box.
So if
Fine,
no
I
more
think.
questions, we
Yes.
can wind off. Yes.
Thank you so much. I hope you people found the session useful and you're able to use at least some
Uh,
of the tools mentioned. Thank you.
yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah. Wind up, ma'am. Yeah. 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 Thank you, ma'am. Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for Speaker of Madhavi, ma'am. And Sudesh Sharma, President of AIMS, and all the board members of AIMS and Secretary. And lastly, but the participants, dear participants, please fill this feedback link. You have participation certificate will get very soon.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.